It began on a cold morning over the Pacific, when an old satellite picked up something strange. It wasn't a storm or a solar flare. It was a signal. Faint but powerful. It came from deep space, and it was not human. At first, the scientists at Earth Communications Control thought it was just background noise, maybe a dying star, or interference. But the signal kept repeating. Every 11 minutes, like a heartbeat. Then something terrifying happened. The signal changed. It spoke. Not in one voice, but in thousands. Every human language was heard: English, Chinese, Arabic, Russian, and even languages no longer spoken. All saying the same short sentence: surrender or be erased. At first, people thought it was a joke. A hacker, maybe. But when every satellite around Earth went silent at once, panic spread. GPS systems failed. Internet lines crashed. Power grids flickered. The world went dark for 7 full seconds. When systems came back, the signal was still there, louder now, and the same message kept playing. The United Earth Council held an emergency meeting. For the first time in decades, all major leaders sat at the same table. No one smiled. No one joked. Fear filled the room. "Is this a threat?" the President of Earth asked. "It's more than that," replied General Myra Lane, head of Earth Defense. "It's a warning. And they're already here." She pressed a button, and a 3D image filled the air above the table. It showed dozens, maybe hundreds of alien ships sitting just beyond Pluto's orbit. Silent. Waiting. Their size made even Earth's largest space stations look like toys. No one had seen them arrive. No engine trails, no radio signals, nothing. They had simply appeared. Earth had never seen anything like them before. The designs were alien, but perfect. Long black curves, glowing blue lights, and strange symbols running across their hulls. Earth's most powerful telescopes focused in, trying to study the ships. But when they did, the signal changed again: "One more scan, and you will burn." That same night, several observatories across the planet exploded. Burned from the inside out. Everyone understood then it wasn't a bluff. Earth was not being visited. It was being warned. For 3 days, the world stood still. News channels played the same footage again and again: the signal, the ships, the destroyed observatories. People stopped going to work. Cities grew quiet. Some prayed. Some partied, thinking the end was near. Some began building bunkers, hoping to survive whatever was coming. But the Earth Council knew they had to act. They couldn't stay silent forever. On the 4th day, a message was sent back. It was short, simple, and spoken by the President of Earth herself: "We do not surrender. We do not fear. If war is what you bring, then war is what you'll get." Her words were sent through every channel Earth could use: radio waves, deep space frequencies, old satellites. For the first time in history, all of humanity spoke with one voice. Some cheered. Some cried. The countdown began. The alien fleet did not reply. But slowly, the ships began to move. Inch by inch, they started drifting inward, toward Earth. Experts calculated they would arrive within 1 week. Earth had only 7 days to prepare. Inside military bases, old weapons were pulled out of deep storage. New prototypes were rushed into testing. Secret labs were unlocked. Scientists worked without sleep. Engineers worked in silence. Soldiers were deployed in orbit and on Earth's surface. The Space Navy, once just a dream, was now Earth's only line of defense. But most of Earth's weapons were designed to fight other humans, not alien gods. No one knew if they would work. Then came a strange discovery. In an old base beneath the Sahara Desert, something strange activated a giant black cube, covered in dust and forgotten technology. It lit up on its own, and on its surface, the same alien symbols appeared. Somehow, it was connected to the fleet. Scientists rushed to study it, but it gave no answers. One man, Dr. Elias Ronat, had a theory. "This is not the first time they've come," he whispered. "It's happened before. Long ago. And we've forgotten." People thought he was crazy until the cube started speaking. It did not speak in alien language, but in perfect English. "Zara." That was the only word it said. Again and again. "Zara." But no one knew who that was. Until they found her. Zara was a quiet woman, living in a small village near the Arctic Circle. She had no family, no past. But her dreams were filled with stars, fire, and strange voices. When soldiers came for her, she didn't resist. "They're here, aren't they?" she asked. "I saw them in my dreams." When they brought her to the cube, it opened. Just like that. It responded only to her touch. Inside was a glowing sphere. Cold to look at but burning to hold. When Zara held it, the alien signal stopped for 7 minutes. All across the world, people gasped. The ships paused. Earth had found something. Maybe a weapon. Maybe a key. No one knew. But it was the first time the invaders reacted to anything. The Earth Council wanted to study the sphere. But Zara refused to let it go. "It's not a weapon," she said. "It's a memory. And it wants me to see." That night, she collapsed. When she woke, she spoke words no human had ever heard. The symbols from the alien ships were now burned into her skin, glowing softly. Something inside her had changed. Whether that change would save Earth or destroy it, no one could tell. The countdown continued. 6 days remained. The world waited. And above, the stars grew colder. The world was no longer the same. After Earth's reply to the alien threat and a strange pause in their signal, fear turned into urgency. People now believed what had once seemed impossible: humanity was at war with something far older and far more advanced than itself. The countdown began, and every hour brought the alien fleet closer. From every corner of the planet, military forces, scientists, and engineers moved into action. Factories that once built cars now created drone parts. Schools closed. Stadiums turned into training grounds. Satellites were launched every few hours, trying to rebuild the broken net around the planet. But the alien fleet had not moved since it paused. It floated in deep space, silent, cold, and deadly. Like a storm waiting to fall. At the center of this growing storm stood Zara. The woman once unknown to anyone now became Earth's most watched person. She was moved to a secret facility in Iceland, deep underground. Surrounded by guards, scientists, and machines, she slept restlessly. The glowing sphere she touched never left her side. It hovered around her like a moon, spinning slowly and pulsing with strange blue light. She could feel it. Not like holding a tool or a device, but like a living presence, whispering to her in dreams. It showed her things. Long dead stars. Giant cities floating in space. Creatures of light and sound. And war. Endless war. Always ending the same way: silence, death, and darkness. Dr. Elias Rana stayed by her side, taking notes, recording everything she said. "This isn't their first visit," he told the council. "These beings, they cleanse planets. They don't talk. They don't negotiate. They give a choice: submit or vanish. And we refused." The council listened. Some agreed. Others argued. But there was no time for fear. Earth needed a plan. Weapons from every nation were pulled together. Orbital stations were armed with plasma cannons and experimental railguns. Earth's small space navy was upgraded with alien-inspired tech gathered from old crash sites and strange relics. No one knew if it would work. But they had to try. Zara's body began to change. Slowly, her skin showed more of the alien symbols. Her eyes sometimes glowed in the dark. Machines around her behaved strangely: lights flickered, screens froze, metal bent. But she never showed pain. Only silence. "I don't know if I'm still human," she whispered once. But I still want Earth to live. That was enough. The Council allowed her to lead a new mission codenamed Project Final Dawn. Her task: reach the alien fleet before it entered Earth's orbit and try to use the sphere to stop them. It was a desperate plan. No one knew if she could survive in space. No one knew if the sphere would even protect her. But nothing else had stopped the fleet. Meanwhile, strange things began to happen around the globe. Tides changed in places where they shouldn't. Animals moved away from coasts. Birds circled strange areas and refused to land. In the skies over Siberia, glowing clouds began to form, silent and unmoving. In the deserts of Africa, old rocks cracked open, revealing strange metal inside. Something deep in the earth was reacting to the alien presence. Something old. Perhaps something left behind the last time these beings came. With 5 days left, Zara was placed aboard Earth's fastest ship, the Horizon Edge. It wasn't the strongest, but it was the only one fast enough to reach the fleet in time. She was not alone. A small team of elite soldiers joined her, including Commander Relos, a man who had lost his entire family in the Mars colony when the aliens destroyed it. If this is our last mission, he told her, let's make sure it matters. They launched at night. No cameras, no broadcasts. Only silence. As the Horizon Edge left Earth's atmosphere, Zara felt the sphere grow warmer. She could see the alien ships now, through distant screens. They weren't just war machines. They were alive, glowing softly, breathing in rhythm, almost like a living wall across the stars. They see us, she whispered. They are not coming closer, because they are waiting for me. Back on Earth, strange signals began to interfere with communications. Old satellites started showing images that had never been recorded, flashes of alien cities, massive beings walking across broken worlds, ships so large they blocked entire stars. These were not warnings. They were memories. Earth was being shown the future by looking into the past. Dr. Ronnet decoded part of the signal and found something shocking. They call themselves the Orth, he told the Council. Not a species. Not a name. A function. It means the end that waits. They are not here to win a war. They are here to complete a cycle. It wasn't about power. It was about something deeper, an ancient pattern, written into the stars. Every few million years, the Orth arrived to erase and reset. To them, Earth was just another piece in a puzzle too large for humans to see. In space, Zara finally reached the edge of the fleet. The Orth ships opened not as an attack, but as an invitation. One by one, her team was pulled inside. No alarms. No gunfire. Just silence. Commander Relos tried to radio Earth, but nothing worked. Time felt slower. Air felt heavier. Even thoughts seemed harder to form. And then, in the center of the largest ship, Zara saw it. A black sphere, just like hers but older, cracked, and cold. Her sphere began to glow brighter, spinning faster, until it floated from her hands and merged with a black one. A flash of light filled the chamber. Everyone fell unconscious. When Zara opened her eyes, she wasn't in space. She was standing on an ancient battlefield, not human, not alien, something else entirely. All around her were broken ships, fallen giants, and burning skies. She heard voices. Not in her ears, but in her mind. You were chosen before your world had a name, they said. You carry the last spark. If Earth falls, all hope ends. It was not the Orth speaking. It was something older, something hiding, waiting, and watching. She had awoken something lost in time. On Earth, sensors picked up a new energy rising from deep within the planet. Not from the surface, but from the core. And in that energy, the same symbols as those on Zara's skin began to appear. Earth wasn't just a target. It was part of the weapon. Or perhaps the key. With 4 days left, Earth stood on the edge. Above, the stars watched. Below, something ancient stirred. And in between, Zara drifted through time, memory, and war ready to face the end. The ship Horizon Edge floated deep inside the enemy fleet, yet nothing attacked. No weapons fired. No soldiers appeared. Instead, the air around the human crew shimmered like glass, and silence pressed against their ears like water. Time felt wrong, too slow or too fast, they couldn't tell. Zara stood still at the heart of it all, her eyes glowing faintly, the symbols on her skin pulsing in rhythm with a massive black sphere ahead. The sphere had accepted her, merged with her own, and now something new had begun to stir inside both her and the ship. She wasn't scared. Not anymore. She had seen the truth, even if only a glimpse. But she didn't understand it, not yet. Then the walls changed. They shifted like liquid metal, then froze again, revealing massive murals, moving images carved into the walls of the alien vessel. The crew stood and watched in awe. What they saw was not just art, it was history. Ancient history. A war unlike any in Earth's records. Giant beings of light and shadow clashing across planets, ships the size of moons colliding in black space, stars going dark as fleets vanished into them. The Earth were there, but they were not alone. There were others. Another race. They looked nothing like the Earth. Their ships were strange, glowing with blue fire and curved like wings. And beside them, tiny figures, humans. Commander Relos narrowed his eyes. "Is that us?" he whispered. Dr. Matarak, the team's historian, nodded slowly. "It can't be. But it is." The images revealed a shocking truth: humans had fought in this war before. Long before Earth had cities, before fire, before language. The images showed human-like figures standing beside the other race, bonded by energy, using the same spheres Zara now carried. But the war ended in disaster. The blue fire ships fell. Their cities collapsed into stars. The Earth consumed them all. Only fragments remained hidden across space, sealed in planets, forgotten by time. Earth was one of those fragments. It had been seeded, hidden, protected. Until now. Zara dropped to her knees. Her head burned. The sphere inside her pulsed wildly. Memories not her own flooded her mind, flashes of pain, courage, death, and endless resistance. She was remembering a life she never lived. Or perhaps, one she had already lived once before. "I've been here," she whispered. "In another time. I died here." The crew tried to help her, but she waved them off. "I remember who I am," she said softly. "My name was never just Zara." Back on Earth, the Council received the first signal from Horizon Edge in days. A short, broken message: "Zara is waking up the old war." That same hour, strange energy readings spiked across Earth's surface. In the deep oceans, long-buried objects began to glow. In ancient ruins, Egypt, South America, and Siberia, symbols lit up that no one had ever noticed before. A hidden pattern, spread across the planet, now pulsed in sync. Earth was not a battlefield. It was a memory vault. The last memory of a lost civilization. In the alien fleet, Horizon Edge suddenly began to move. Not by its own engines, but pulled by an unseen force. It left the Earth Armada and entered deep space, toward a place none of Earth's charts had ever recorded. No stars shined there. No light escaped. Only a black emptiness, shaped like a sphere. Zara called it the grave. She said it was where the last army died. Inside the black region, the ship stopped before a massive structure so large it made the alien fleet look like insects. A forgotten warship. Not of Earth. Not of the Earth. Something older, sleeping, buried in the dark. The murals had shown it before. This was the Arc of Flame, the last great weapon used against the Earth. But it had failed. Now it was dead, floating in the dark, covered in scars and silence. Zara left the human ship and floated toward the Ark alone, surrounded by a protective field from the sphere. Her crew tried to stop her, but she said only one thing: "I have to remember everything, or Earth will burn." As she touched the surface of the Ark, the darkness shattered. Light exploded from every corner of the ancient ship. Systems reactivated. Power surged. The ship spoke not with sound, but through emotion. Sadness. Rage. Hope. And a name, Ilarion. That was her name. The one Zara had forgotten. She was once Ilarion of the Flame, a guardian chosen to carry memory across time. She had died in battle, but her soul had been sealed inside Earth's hidden codes, reborn as a human to one day finish what she started. Earth had not created Zara. The universe had. Back on Earth, volcanoes rumbled. Earthquakes shook old tectonic plates. Energy waves invisible to the eye moved through the oceans. Governments tried to stay in control, but people sensed it. The planet was changing. The past was waking. Zara, now Ilarion, returned to Horizon Edge. Her eyes burned bright blue. Her voice was steady. The Arc of Flame still works. But it needs Earth's help. The Earth can only be stopped by joining what was broken. We must find the others. Commander Relos frowned. What others? The scattered memory shards, she said. Left in planets like Earth. Some might still be alive. If we find them, we have a chance. If we don't, she paused. Earth becomes the next forgotten world. The countdown continued. Only 3 days remained before the Earth reached Earth. But now Earth knew the truth. It was not alone in the galaxy, nor in time. It was part of a long war, lost and buried, now roaring back to life. The Earth would not wait. But neither would Ilarion. The search for the memory shards had begun. The sky above Earth was quiet. Too quiet. The alien fleet had remained still for days, watching, waiting, unblinking. Earth's leaders had hoped they were buying time. Maybe Zara's awakening had made them hesitate. Maybe the Arc of Flame had frightened them. But they were wrong. It was not hesitation. It was calculation. And on the 4th day of the countdown, the Earth made their first move. At 3:41 UTC, Mars Colony 6 vanished. One moment, it was sending routine updates. The next, it was gone. No signal. No debris. No light. Just silence. The last image transmitted showed a blinding white flash stretching from the horizon to the sky, then nothing. It wasn't a missile. It wasn't a bomb. It was erasure. 1,000 settlers. Dozens of defense units. A decade of human progress all gone in a breath. Panic spread across Earth like wildfire. Families screamed. News channels cut to emergency broadcasts. In every city, sirens wailed. Earth was under attack. But the alien fleet didn't come closer. They remained just outside Saturn's orbit, still silent. Still cold. They had delivered their message. This was what defiance would cost. The Earth Council held a crisis meeting. The president's face was pale. General Myra Lane slammed her hand on the table. They are not just attacking. They are choosing what to destroy. They are testing how we react. We can't win a war like this, a scientist muttered. Then we don't give them war, Dr. Elias Rana replied. We give them something else. Hope came from the stars. From beyond Neptune, Horizon Edge returned. But it was no longer just a human vessel. It flew with the fire of the Ark inside it. The hull shimmered with alien energy. Inside, Zara, now Ilarion, stood like a soldier of the old age. She wasn't wearing armor, but something around her shimmered like a shield. Her voice carried more weight than before. We are not alone, she told Earth. You were never meant to fight them with just human hands. You were meant to awaken what the Earth tried to erase. She called it the Flame Protocol. With the Ark's guidance, Earth scientists began upgrading their weapons, ships, and defense grids. Not just with new technology but with something more powerful, memory. The Ark shared blueprints from long-lost civilizations. Weapons powered by stars. shields built from gravitational distortions. Even Earth's own crust contained buried materials designed to interface with these technologies, seeds planted long ago for this very day. Earth wasn't just a target. It was a fortress waiting to wake. Ilarion led a global effort. Every continent joined. Rival nations became allies overnight. Borders dissolved in the face of extinction. Spaceports ran non-stop, launching platforms, drones, and satellites armed with a new tech. Orbital defense rings lit up, shimmering with strange blue light. Deep underground, fusion cores hummed to life. But time was short. And the Orth were not idle. Just before midnight, they struck again. This time, they didn't use light. They sent something else, one single drone, the size of a small ship, moving faster than anything ever recorded. It entered Earth's atmosphere without resistance, bypassing every defense system, and crashed into the ocean near the Mariana Trench. Within hours, strange readings emerged. The water grew darker. Fish and sea life vanished. Currents shifted. The drone wasn't a weapon. It was a seed. The Orth were trying to rewrite Earth's oceans. Ilarion responded immediately. With the help of the Ark's data, Earth launched the first counter-strike. A squad of advanced fighters, half human, half ancient, dove into the deep. Piloted by elite soldiers trained in the Flame Protocol, they reached the crashed site and found the seed. It had grown. Black vines of metal and light stretched across the ocean floor, feeding on heat, minerals, even the memory of life around it. The lead pilot, Lieutenant Hannah, fired the first shot using the new weapon, of photon twist cannon powered by the Ark's core energy. The vines screamed. The seed shook. And in one final pulse, it exploded, sending out a wave that cleared the sea of corruption. Humanity had struck back. For the first time in history, the Orth took damage. But it came at a cost. When the fighters returned, only 2 out of 6 pilots were alive. The Ark's energy had worked, but it wasn't easy to control. Human bodies weren't built for it. Using ancient power came with a price. Back in orbit, the Orth reacted. Half their fleet shifted. Massive alien warships began moving toward Earth. They weren't sending warnings anymore. The countdown was over. This was the first strike. Ilarion stood before the world, speaking through every screen, every channel. "They are coming," she said. "Not to fight. To finish what they started eons ago. But Earth is not helpless. We are not weak. We are the flame they failed to kill. And now, we burn back." Commander Relos saluted her. "What do we do now?" She looked to the stars. "We bring the war to them." The final phase had begun. Earth wasn't just going to defend. Earth was going to fight. And this time, it would be total war. The Orth were moving. Their warships now filled the space between Jupiter and Saturn, blocking sunlight from reaching several of Earth's outer satellites. Their formations weren't chaotic. They moved with impossible precision, as if responding to an ancient command. Across Earth's military command, everyone watched in silence as the black wall of death approached. But Earth was no longer alone. Not entirely. Ilarion had seen something in her visions, a network, a hidden defense that once protected galaxies. A last stand buried in the shadows of Saturn, waiting for someone who remembered. That someone was her. Ilarion boarded Horizon Edge again, this time alone, carrying the sphere at her side. Commander Relos objected, but she held his hand for a moment and said, "If I fail, Earth won't even have time to fall." Then she was gone. The ship shimmered into a corridor of folded space, created by the Arc of Flame, and within minutes, she arrived near the rings of Saturn. Nothing looked unusual at first, just icy rocks spinning endlessly. But the sphere in her hand pulsed, and her body lit up with blue fire. The rings responded. They slowed, then shifted, forming patterns like old symbols in the sky. From beneath the rings, giant shapes began to rise. 1, 2, 10, 20. Black towers, hidden under the planet's magnetic field for eons, now floated above Saturn, each humming with strange energy. They were not ships. They were sentinels. She reached out with her mind. The sphere guided her thoughts, connected her to something bigger. And then the towers spoke. Not in words but in emotion. Fear. Duty. Loyalty. Loneliness. For countless millennia, they had waited empty, silent, forgotten. Waiting for the return of the one who bore the mark of flame. Ilarion. You are not Earth's first fire, they told her. But you may be its last. The towers responded to her command. Each one unfolded into a guardianship vast, majestic, powered by energy older than the stars themselves. They were shaped like wings, surrounded by burning rings, each carrying ancient weapons designed to pierce through the minds of the Earth. This was the Forgotten Alliance machines and memory built to fight alongside civilizations long destroyed. She now had a fleet. But the war had already begun. Back on Earth, the Earth launched their next attack. This time, not against a colony but the moon. A beam of energy struck it without warning. The surface cracked like glass. Entire chunks drifted into space. Debris rained toward Earth. Tides shifted violently. Earthquakes erupted in every continent. It was no longer about warnings. The Earth were trying to weaken Earth's very balance, its gravity, its light, its seasons. If the moon fell, Earth would follow. But Earth was ready. With the ARC's tech now fully integrated, global defense systems activated. Satellite shields opened. Space-based gravitic nets deflected falling moon chunks. Laser grids melted incoming rocks in the upper atmosphere. Cities still shook. People still died. But Earth stood. It did not collapse. And then, something even stranger happened. A signal appeared one no one expected. Not from Earth. Not from the Earth. But from somewhere else. Deep. Faint. Hidden in the shadows of Uranus. It was in the same ancient frequency as the Ark. When decoded, it said only this: "We live." Ilarion heard it. She gasped. "Another vault," she whispered. Earth wasn't the only world seeded with memory. Another shard of the ancient alliance had survived. With only 2 days left before the main Earth fleet reached Earth, Ilarion made her choice. She led her newly awakened Sentinel fleet toward the signal, passing through gravitational folds only she could see. Horizon Edge flew alongside them, now a flagship. Relos rejoined her, refusing to stay behind again. "If this is how it ends," he said, "I'll die fighting beside the only hope we have." They reached the source. A moon orbiting Uranus. Covered in ice. Dead on the surface. But beneath, life warmth. A vault, buried so deep even the Earth had missed it. Inside, they found survivors. Not human. Not machine. Something in between. Creatures of energy and metal, weak but conscious. Once, they had been guardians of flame too, left behind after their world fell, asleep for ages. Ilarion touched their core. Her symbols lit up. The creatures stirred. They knew her. "You returned," one of them said. "We all return," she replied. These creatures called the Valerie joined her fleet. They repaired their bodies using Earth's technology, merging human and ancient into something new. For the first time, Earth had allies that weren't just weapons, but living warriors who had fought the Earth before and survived. Back on Earth, people watched the skies. Hope grew. The Earth Council called it the Awakening. Across cities, millions tuned into broadcasts of the Sentinel ships lighting up the night above. Children pointed. Old men wept. The end was still coming. But they no longer faced it alone. The final day began. The Earth fleet had reached Neptune's orbit. Earth's new alliance stood in its path, thousands of drones, sentinels, human ships, and the Ark itself. Ilarion looked at the vast black wall in front of her, took a deep breath, and said, "No more warnings. No more waiting. And with that, the fire returned to the stars. It began with silence. Not peace but the cold, sharp silence of a storm gathering strength. The Earth had reached Earth's doorstep. Neptune's orbit burned black as their warships passed through, consuming light and radiation like predators from another universe. The time for diplomacy, for questions, for wondering if Earth had any chance left was over. This was extinction. And Earth was the target. Ilarion stood at the bridge of Horizon Edge, surrounded by her new allies. The Valkyrie, reborn in their living armor. The Sentinel fleet, pulsing with the energy of long-forgotten stars. Behind her, humanity's greatest ships still small, still fragile, but burning with courage. She had seen this moment in her visions over and over. A final stand fire against the void. But the Earth had not finished sending a message. Just before the fleets could clash, the largest of the Earth ships broke formation. It moved slowly, with cruel purpose, toward Earth's moon. Earth's people watched in horror as the alien ship extended a thin, glowing spike from its underbelly. The beam touched the moon's surface. At first, nothing happened. Then the light spread like cracks in glass, glowing from the inside out. Across the globe, telescopes captured the moment Earth's moon began to die. A single fracture split its surface, from pole to pole. Then another. Then a dozen more. And in one impossible instant, the moon shattered. Not exploded but broken, carved, and scattered across space like pieces of a broken mirror. The Earth screamed. Not just in voice but in nature. Oceans surged. Winds changed direction. Tides collapsed. Night became unstable. Earthquakes tore through continents as the planet's balance faltered. The moon wasn't just a rock in the sky, it was Earth's silent partner. Its fall was the planet's wound. In the chaos, Ilarion heard something. Not with her ears. With the sphere. It pulsed not in rage but in pain. The sphere was connected to Earth in ways even she hadn't yet understood. And now, Earth was crying. But not dying. Because the Arc of Flame had planned for this. Ancient technology buried deep within Earth's mantle awakened. It reacted to the moon's destruction by activating a planetary field and invisible brace around Earth's gravity. Oceans calmed. Tides slowed. Storms halted in mid-air. Cities were saved at the last possible second. The Arc wasn't just a weapon. It was a shield. Still, the damage was done. Billions were terrified. Millions displaced. Thousands dead. The Earth Council called it the breaking of the sky. And yet humanity still stood. In orbit, the fleets moved. Ilarion turned to Relos. It's time. He nodded, eyes hard. No more defense. We strike. Earth's forces launched their assault. It was the most complex, desperate attack in the planet's history. Hundreds of ships rushed forward in spiraling formations. The Sentinel fleet led the charge, their wings glowing blue against the black. Behind them, Valkyrie fighters danced in strange, ancient patterns moving faster than any human could follow. And behind them, the Arc itself moved, slow but unstoppable, dragging with it the light of the past. The Earth did not run. They opened. Massive sections of their fleet split like petals, revealing weapons beyond understanding, dark matter cannons, time warp fields, void spikes that tore holes in the very rules of physics. In the first seconds of battle, over 40 Earth ships were erased, not destroyed, erased, like they had never existed. The Earth didn't just fight to kill. They fought to remove. But then, Earth's fire hit back. Ilarion focused the Arc's power into a beam and fired directly into the heart of the enemy. One of the Earth's capital ships cracked its outer shell, collapsing into golden shards. It didn't regenerate. It screamed. The sound echoed through every human ship like thunder through bone. Earth had wounded a god. Valkyrie warriors stormed through the breach, stabbing through the alien black with swords of shifting light. They sang as they fought, not in victory, but in sorrow. They had waited too long to return. Now their pain would be turned into flame. But even as Earth's alliance pushed forward, the Earth changed. The fleet began to merge. One by one, the black ships melted into each other, forming a single enormous mass. It grew and grew, pulling in debris, wreckage, even light. Within minutes, it had become a monstrous sphere almost the size of Earth itself. A living moon made of Earth metal and hate. They are creating their final weapon, Ilarion said. A Star Eater? The name alone sent fear through every channel. The Star Eater was not a ship. It was a machine built to consume entire worlds, draining life, memory, and history, until nothing remained. Ilarion had seen it once before in another life, on another planet. That planet no longer existed. We have one chance, she said. We use the Ark's core. We ignite the memory of all who fell before us. But I may not survive it. Relos stepped forward. Then I'll go with you? She shook her head. No. You have to lead when I'm gone. He didn't argue. He knew. The Ark moved forward, glowing brighter. Inside, Ilarion reached into the sphere deeper than ever before. Her body trembled. Her mind split. She saw everything: the first flame, the ancient pact, the cities and the stars, the last time the Star Eater rose. She saw the face of the Earth Queen, a creature made of time and fear, waiting in the center of the black. And then she let go. The Ark's core exploded. But it was not destruction. It was memory. A wave of light swept across the battlefield, not burning, but remembering. Every ship, every soldier, every spark of hope lost in past wars, returned in that moment. The Earth recoiled. The Star Eater cracked. The screams of its queen echoed like wind through a burning forest. Earth had set the sky on fire. When the light faded, the Ark was gone. Ilarion was gone. But the Earth had stopped. Damaged. Wounded. Weak. The final battle had not yet ended, but Earth had survived the fall of its moon. And in doing so, it had proven what the Earth had never understood. That even in loss, humanity burns brighter. The skies were not silent. Not anymore. They echoed with broken signals, warnings, cries, fragments of old codes bleeding through the stars. Where once the Earth fleet had loomed like a black storm, now only wreckage drifted, some of it burning, some of it trying to rebuild. But in the center of the chaos, still untouched, still pulsing, was the Star Eater. Wounded but not dead. And Earth's greatest weapon, the Arc of Flame, was gone. Ilarion was gone. Or so the world believed. On Earth, morning turned into preparation. Across continents, people emerged from shelters. They lit fires. Candles. Beacons. Anything to show they were still here. Cities that had lost their skies built towers of light to replace them. Children drew pictures of the Sentinel fleet in schoolyards. Soldiers named their ships after Ilarion. The Earth Council declared a planetary unity pact: no more borders, no more delays. Every hand would rebuild. Every heart would fight. Commander Relos had taken command of the Horizon Edge, now the most advanced ship still operational. His face was harder now, scarred from the last battle, but his voice carried strength. Every day, he met with scientists, warriors, and the Valerie, forming a new plan. But inside, he was grieving. Not just for Ilarion, but for the feeling that the fire the one she carried was fading. Then, one night, as Earth watched the ruins of the moon drift across the stars, something returned. A signal. Weak. Broken. But alive. It came from beyond the Star Eater. Past the enemy lines. Hidden deep within a forgotten pocket of folded space. A single pulse. I am not gone. Ilarion. She had survived the ignition, but not as she was before. Inside the core of the Ark, something ancient had awakened. Her body had burned. Her mind had crossed thresholds no human was meant to cross. But the flame had not destroyed her, it had changed her. She was no longer just a guide. No longer just human. She was now the vessel of flame, a being between time, memory, and war. And she was still fighting. Relos stared at the signal, hand shaking. She's alive. The fleet was in no condition for another war, but they had no choice. If the Star Eater fully reformed, it would consume the sun. And if Valerian was trapped inside, she had become Earth's last hope. He sent the call, all ships. Prepare for final burn. Earth's remaining fleet launched. Half strength. Low fuel. Minimal shielding. But every pilot knew the truth, this wasn't just a rescue. It was the end. One way or another, the fire would rise or be extinguished forever. The journey to the Star Eater was unlike any battle before. The outer layer of the enemy had changed, becoming a maze of psychic traps and memory loops. Ships flew in circles, attacked illusions of their own loved ones, relived deaths that never happened. The Orth were defending their queen with time itself. But the Valkyrie broke through. Their minds were older, more flexible. They formed protective shields around Earth's fighters, guiding them through the maze like ancient shepherds. Relos flew at the front, his ship dragging a trail of fire, lit by the last fragments of Arctech remaining. And then they reached the core. The Star Eater was open. A pulsing heart of black glass, wrapped in layers of sorrow and death. At its center, Ilarion. But she was changed. She floated in the air, surrounded by rings of light and shadow. Her eyes burned blue. Her veins glowed. She no longer wore armor but fire itself. She looked at Relos and whispered, "You came." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "We're taking you home." But she shook her head. "I can't leave. Not yet." She turned toward the center of the core where the Orth Queen waited. A creature of impossible size and shape, made of pure memory and hate. The Queen's voice filled their minds. Not words. Emotions. Loss. Anger. Fear. She was not just a leader, she was the reason the Orth existed. Created from war. Sustained by fear. Fueled by extinction. And she feared Ilarion. Because Ilarion now carried the first flame, the original fire that had once burned across the stars, uniting civilizations long before Earth was born. That flame had been lost for eons. But now, it had found her. Ilarion raised her hands. The sphere now fused into her chest, lit up, forming a massive circle of light. The Queen screamed. The Star Eater began to collapse inward. Reality shook. Time bent. But the Orth weren't done. Their remaining forces surged toward Earth's fleet, thousands of ships pouring from the Star Eater's shell like locusts. It was their final swarm. One last wave to drown Earth's hope in darkness. Relos turned to his crew. Protect her. No matter the cost. And they did. One by one, Earth's ships sacrificed themselves, shielding Ilarion as she prepared the final burn. Sentinel ships exploded in blue fire. Valkyrie warriors locked enemy vessels in embrace, burning with them in silence. Relos's ship took a hit to the engines, sending him spiraling, but still he stayed in formation. Ilarion's voice echoed through every speaker, every mind. This is for every world that fell. For every child that never grew old. For every name the Orth tried to erase. Then she unleashed it. The flame. It wasn't an explosion. It was a memory, made real. A burst of light that contained the echo of every civilization the Orth had ever destroyed. A billion songs. A trillion lives. All returning at once. The Star Eater cracked. The Queen screamed as her own memories turned against her, flooding her with guilt, love, joy, all the things she had tried to erase from the universe. And then she was gone. The Star Eater folded inward. Vanished. The war ended. Silence returned. But it was a different silence. The silence of peace. The fire faded. Ilarion was nowhere to be seen. Not dead. Not gone. Just waiting. In the hearts of every human, every Valkyrie, every world still burning with life. Because fire never dies. It only waits for someone brave enough to carry it again. The war was over. But peace did not come quickly. The skies above Earth still burned faintly with the trails of lost ships. The moon, what was left of it, hung broken in the sky like a scar that would never fade. Cities stood half-lit. Oceans were still wild. Every soul on Earth had lost someone. Every building had a story of someone who didn't make it home. But humanity had survived. And survival was a kind of victory. The name Narration became legend. Children drew her in fire-colored robes, eyes glowing, arms raised to the stars. Cities built statues of her with one hand stretched to the sky, the other reaching back to Earth, to all of them. But her body was never found. No signal. No whisper. Just silence, and the deep, unshakable feeling that she was not truly gone. Commander Relos returned home in a damaged carrier with only a third of his crew. He walked out alone, and the moment his feet touched Earth's soil again, the people rushed to him. He did not speak grand words. He didn't need to. He simply looked at the sky, then whispered, "She held the flame so we could live." That was enough. Earth began to rebuild. And this time, it wasn't just humans. The Valkyrie, ancient beings of light and memory, stayed. They helped raise new towers, taught children about other galaxies, and added their songs to Earth's growing culture. Together, they began something new, the Flame Accord, a union of worlds that would never bow to extinction again. The remains of the Sentinel fleet were turned into orbiting schools, peace stations, and starports. The Arc of Flame, though destroyed in body, was reborn in spirit, its blueprints etched into Earth's stone and satellite memory cores. Every nation, every language, every belief system contributed to the rebuilding. For the first time in history, Earth stood united not by fear but by memory. And yet, something stirred. Far out, beyond Pluto, beyond even the edge of the known system, a probe drifted. It had gone dark during the war, its signal long lost. But now, it flickered to life again. A faint light. A whisper. It sent back a single image, blurry, distant, impossible. A woman. Standing on a platform of burning crystal, surrounded by stars that didn't match any known map. Her eyes glowed blue. Her hands held flame. Her voice came through the signal, not through sound, but feeling. Not all war is over. Not all darkness has fallen. But Earth will never be alone again. Then the signal vanished. Back on Earth, Relos stood in the Flame Garden, a sacred park built where the first Arc shard was found. Children played nearby. Wind moved through silver trees. He stared up at the stars and smiled. "She's still out there," he said. Beside him, one of the Valkyries stepped forward. The flame never dies. It simply finds a new bearer. And in that moment, far across the stars, a new world sparked into life. A child looked up, saw fire in the sky, and felt something in her chest, like warmth, like memory, like destiny. The flame had moved on. But it would never leave Earth behind. It would always remember the world that refused to bow. The world that answered extinction with total war. The world that became legend. Earth, home of the flame,